Hey guys, so what I'm going to do today, we have I think like 6 pages to get through. So if we go a little bit over 11:30, that's fine. I don't think there's anyone after me, and if there is, they can kick us out. That's also fine. But I wanted to read pages 168 through 171, and then and this is kind of a bummer, there are 3 pages of questions, and then that leaves us with only 2 pages left, which we'll go over those last 2 pages when I go live on Friday. Remember, if you guys are here, either email me or go in the chat box and let me know that you're here so I can give you credit for participating. Otherwise, you guys lose out on really easy participation points. So we are going to start on page 168 in the fish packet, right? That's on the front? Yeah. And then, so help save the world's coral reefs. There is no organism living beneath the surface of the ocean more spectacular than the coral reef. But sadly, these magnificent structures are slowly disappearing. Indeed, coral reefs are threatened with extinction. Hope is not lost, however. There are things we can all do to help save coral reefs. A coral reef is a gigantic colony of coral. Coral are very small marine animals that have hard shells. After the animal dies, the shell remains. Small plant life like algae and moss grow on these skeletal remainders. Sand, dirt, and other sediment also collect on the reef. Slowly, over time, the reef grows. Coral reefs can be made up of many different kinds of coral. They may vary in size, shape, and color. Coral reefs are some of the most beautiful and colorful natural phenomena on the planet. They can grow to be quite large, too. The Great Barrier Reef near Australia is about 1,600 miles long. Coral reefs are sometimes called the rainforests of the sea because they are home to a large and varied number of species. They play an important role in the ocean ecosystems of the world. For example, they provide both a home and a food source for many small marine animals. Coral reefs in danger. Yet, like so many other species of marine animal, coral reefs are in great danger. What exactly is endangering our beloved coral reefs? The answer is a lethal combination of natural and human-made activities. There is no doubt that coral reefs are natural targets for underwater predators. Certain fish and other marine life are known to feed on the small marine animals that live there. Also, the connective tissue that enables the reef to grow in size is soft and tasty. Other threats to coral reefs, however, can be traced to human activity. There is a widely observed phenomenon called bleaching in which the coral reefs lose their color and turn white. Bleaching occurs when the coral rejects and expels the tiny organisms they feed on. These minuscule morsels, which are a kind of algae, are tinted gold. Why do the corals spit out their food? We in the scientific community are not yet totally sure. It may be due to rising ocean temperatures and an increase in the acidity of ocean water. Its levels of acid. Global warming is causing the temperature rise. Human pollution is behind the rise in acidity. Scientists who study global warming estimate that in future years, ocean temperatures will continue to rise. As a result, coral bleaching could occur every single year. Some studies have already shown that in isolated areas, bleaching is happening every month. The rapid rise of the ocean's level of acidity has another potential toxic effect. Many scientists are concerned that the material the coral reefs are made of could dissolve, weaken, and completely break apart. 2 more threats to coral reefs are caused by humans: tourism and overfishing. Everyone agrees that coral reefs are gorgeous. Tourism companies are making money off tours of coral reefs. When humans scuba dive along a coral reef, or worse, touch one, they disturb the organism's habitat. The algae the coral feed on, for example, may be swept away. Overfishing is a problem too. Many communities depend on commercial fishing for their survival. So fisheries fish for great volume. But because so many fish live near coral reefs, removing large numbers can disturb the fragile habitat of a coral reef. The methods fisheries employ are destructive. Nets are dragged through the water. The nets gather hundreds of fish but destroy a reef in the process. What can be done? What are the solutions? As I've suggested, working with commercial fisheries is an important step. Let's find fishing techniques that protect coral reefs and allow fisheries to sustain their communities. Interestingly, a land issue, the fight to save rainforests, is giving us ideas. Reforestation is being used to help rescue rainforests. For this reason, there has been similar talk in the marine biology community about trying to regenerate or regrow coral reefs. Coral reefs are beautiful to look at, and they are an essential part of ocean ecosystems. These precious organisms are on the verge of extinction. We must work together to save them. So moving on to page 171, Defending My Right to Fish. I read Paige Kelly's opinion piece in last month's issue with dismay. I realize it is the current fashion to blame large commercial fisheries for the problems facing coral reefs, but her article goes too far. As the owner of a commercial fishery, I must defend myself and my colleagues in the industry. First of all, the term overfishing was originally used by the fishing industry to increase awareness over the issue. That the term has been stolen by the scientific community and then used to place blame on us is offensive. No one is more concerned with overfishing in our open waters than the entire commercial fishing industry. Ms. Kelly's opinion piece should have acknowledged that. Further, my company not only employs hundreds of people in the community of Middletown, but it provides both supermarkets and restaurants with fresh seafood for consumers to enjoy. Our vital role in the livelihood of our community has been unfairly ignored. I look forward to receiving an apology from Ms. Kelly. Sincerely, Michael E. Simmons, owner, Middletown Fishing Incorporated. Okay, so that is half of what we were going to work on today. I only have one person watching right now, so if you are a sixth grader and you want credit for watching this, say hi in the chat box or something, so I can give credit to who I'm supposed to give credit to. But we're going to start on the questions on page 171. So which of the following is not a domain-specific word? So remember, domain-specific vocabulary is words that have to do with a specific subject. So for example, you could say coral reefs have to do with science and oceans and stuff like that. But in English class, coral reef doesn't have any real meaning. But then think about in English, if you're talking about theme is important, but maybe not so much in math. So I tried to find the one that was different in this. So I thought that coral reef, ecosystem, and algae were all kind of scientific words that you would use in a science class. That leaves you with structure. So hopefully that helps you get your answer for number one. Number two, what type of word is bleaching as used in the editorial? So an academic word, a word that the author made up, a word that shows the author's point of view, or a domain-specific word. So B, a word the author made up. Bleaching is real, it's a term that was defined and explained. C, a word that shows the author's point of view. It helps enhance the author's point of view and help you understand it. But again, bleaching is something that happens. So it doesn't show the author's point of view necessarily. Again, it just helps support it. So it's either A, an academic word, or B, a domain-specific word. Because we just went over an example of domain-specific word, I want you guys to choose between A or D for number two. Okay, so then we have some extended response questions when you flip over to 172. What is the overall text structure of Help Save the World's Coral Reefs? So I pulled up, I have to find it, different types of text structures. Where'd it go? Okay. So there is chronological. This means the things that happen in order. So if you were talking about your day, I woke up and I got dressed and I brushed my teeth and then I ate breakfast, that's chronological. Cause and effect, explaining a cause and its results. So if I were to knock over, let's say, pop on the floor and I don't clean it up, It eventually absorbs into the floor, and the floor is sticky. The stickiness is kind of the effect of my actions. Problem and solution, presenting a problem and offering a solution. So this is when it gives you, obviously, your problem, so something that is going wrong or not going well, and then how you can fix the thing that's going wrong or not going well. And then compare and contrast, which is discussing similarities and differences. I don't really feel like I need to explain that anymore. And those are pretty much the 4 that we have gone over either in class or in this packet. So I would choose from those 4. I did pick one of those 4. So what is the overall text structure of Help Save the World's Coral Reefs? Think about the text structures you have learned, such as cause and effect and problem solution. So this narrows it down for you. It wants you to choose between cause and effect and problem and solution. What words help to signal the type of text structure? Explain the reasoning behind your answer and cite the text evidence. So if you go back and start reading it, it talks about what is happening. First, it kind of gives you a definition of like what coral reefs are, what we compare them to. It gives you a definition. Then if we move on to page 169, it specifically says coral reefs in danger. And then on 170, there's a question, 2 questions that are what can be done and what are solutions. That leads me to think that this is a problem solution text structure because first it clearly defines what they're talking about. Then it moves on to, you know, what the actual problem is. Like there's bleaching, there's fisheries are sweeping the microorganisms off the coral reefs. And then it goes into suggestions. It literally says, what are some suggestions? And then it lists things like finding fisheries that protect coral reefs and allow those to sustain communities or using reforestation techniques. So keep those in mind. I said problem solution for this. And then explain why you chose problem solution. Then you need to, I think I gave 3 examples of why I thought this was a problem solution. So it tells you to use text evidence. You need to cite things from the paragraphs you just read. I only highlighted like a couple words here and there. One of them, and I tried to pick it out from each section. So one of the words that I used was danger and threats because they describe what is happening to the coral reef, which kind of makes you think there's a problem if we're threatening something. And then the author addresses solutions using words like what can be done, which makes you think you're moving into solutions. So that is what I did for that one. You guys, if you feel differently, you can answer it differently. You can use different examples. I'm not going to read you my entire response because I'm afraid some of you guys would just write down exactly what I said, and I don't want you to do that. So analyze how the points of view of Paige Kelly and Michael E. Simmons are similar and different. So the Paige Kelly article is the one that the long one that I just read that was about 3 pages long. And then the Michael E. Simmons one is the one that is on page 171. And it just takes up half a page. It's like a little blurb. So how are they similar? One of the examples they put, I want you guys, how many did I put? I think I put 2 reasons why they were similar and 2 why they were different. So I will give you 1 of the reasons why they're similar and 1 of the reasons why they're different. I want you guys, though, when you're answering this, to come up with 2 for each. You should have 4 reasons total. So I put they are both professionals in their careers, so they have strong points of view. So Paige Kelly, if you go back to page 168, it says by Paige Kelly, marine biologist. That means she's someone that probably has a degree and knows what she's talking about. And then if you go to page 171, it says Michael E. Simmons, owner, Middletown Fishing. So he is someone that has worked in a fishery and owns a fishery. So that brings us back to they're both professionals in their career. They have a good idea of what they're talking about, their experience with this kind of stuff. And then one of the differences I put is that Michael Simmons never talked about how his fishery, for example, is doing things to combat destroying the coral reefs. He's just kind of like, well, we don't do that. We supply jobs for people. It's like, okay, that's good. You supply jobs for people, but it doesn't address how his fishery is handling what's going wrong with our coral reefs. But in Paige Kelly's article, she specifically brings up how fisheries can combat the damage to the coral reefs. So it says, think about their opinions, but also consider the topics they write about, cite specifics for your, or in your answer. So again, that just means go back in the text, find things that support what you think. Usually, I like to think of it this way: if you guys have an opinion and you can't find anything to support it, it's likely that you don't have the right answer or the right idea. So keep that in mind when you're answering this. Okay, so then moving on to page 173. It says, in this unit, you read text about different ecosystems. Think about what you learned from these 4 texts. Then choose 2 ecosystems and compare and contrast them using the Venn diagram below. List key details and important points from the text to show the similarities and differences. It says be prepared to discuss your ideas with your class. We're not going to do that. So I picked the deserts article that was, I think, one of the first ones you guys did. No, it was the second article you read. I'm trying to find the page number for you. Page 156 is where the deserts article starts. And then I just picked the coral reef one we just read because it was fresh on my mind. I want you guys to come up with 3 bullet points for each part of the Venn diagram. So you need 3 bullet points to support. You don't have to do the deserts one. I did the deserts one. But 3 bullet points to support deserts, 3 for why the articles are similar, and 3 for coral reefs. Again, you don't have to pick coral reefs. I thought it was the easiest though, because you just read it. It's fresh on your mind. So one way, let's see. I looked at the text structures of the 2. That is one difference that I found between those 2 articles. I looked at just the topic, what each article focuses on. And then I also looked at the type of article that it was. You can find this under the title. And then for my similarities, I looked at who the author was. I looked at how the topic was defined. And I looked at, I don't know how to word this one. I looked at how, I guess, we as people affect these topics. I know those are really vague answers because if you guys don't want to do deserts and coral reefs, you don't have to. You can do, I think you have 4 articles total to choose from. But I don't want to give you guys direct answers because I just don't want you to scribble them down and have the exact same thing that I did. So if you do have questions about the Venn diagram, go ahead and ask. Remember that middle part where the 2 circles overlaps, that is supposed to be what they have in common or what is similar. And then the 2 like outer crescents are the differences. Again, if you have questions about Venn diagrams, we have used them before. If you guys think back to, it was a while ago, when we read the short story and then watched the film about Hachiko, we wrote your mini like compare and contrast essay based off of a Venn diagram. And you guys kind of took notes in like a Venn diagram format. Okay, then it says, return to the essential question, how do authors prevent information effectively? Think about what you have learned from comparing these works, texts, structures, and point of views. Also think about how each text used academic and domain-specific words. Use evidence from the 4 text units to answer the question. Listen carefully. So the 2 articles that you did in the Venn diagram, do not do those for the essential question. I just want you guys to choose the 2 other articles that you didn't pick, because I feel like otherwise you guys would be writing like an entire essay for this question, and that's a little too much. So the two essays that you did not choose for the Venn diagram are the two essays or articles that you will use for the essential question. Keep that in mind. What you're going to do, think about what you have learned from comparing these works' text structures and point of views. So define the text structure. Remember, there is chronological, cause and effect, problem, solution, and compare and contrast. Those are the 4 different text structures that have kind of been covered while we read through this. And then what else? Also think about how each, point of view. What is the author arguing? Like, does the author agree with what they're talking about, or do they disagree about it, and they want to find solutions to fix it? So also think about how each text used academic and domain-specific words. The first part of that is, do they use academic and domain-specific words? And then highlight examples, so cite evidence of the academic and domain-specific words used. Again, if you guys have questions about academic and domain-specific words, I uploaded the definitions for those into the Google Classroom. I think they're under one of the, I think it's the very first vocab that I uploaded. Okay, so then moving on to page 174. This is the last page. After this, we're going to stop. So it says context clues, guided instruction. Context clues are nearby words or phrases that help you figure out a word's meaning. Read this excerpt from Deserts, Earth's Driest Ecosystems. Temperatures in desert can vary widely. In hot deserts, summer temperatures will stay above 104 degrees Fahrenheit. At high elevations, even in summer, desert nights can become downright cold. The sentences that follow vary, describe both an extremely hot and extremely cold temperatures. So vary likely means to change. So if you guys have the packet in front of you, the word vary, V-A-R-Y, is bolded in that little paragraph. That's the word you want to look at. And then it explains how the author used context clues to come up with the definition for vary. That's what you are going to be doing below. So then it says guided practice. Write the meaning of the bold-faced words, underline the context clues in each sentence. So laws about fishing in the waters were so strict that the fishing company needed a lawyer to interpret specific guidelines set by the government. So the word is strict. I'm not really going to help you guys. I'll help you guys with this first one. Sorry, my dog is trying to break into my room. But strict is, I put that it means tight or must be followed specifically. And then I underlined needed a lawyer, and then underlined guidelines set by the government. So think of like these higher powers are in charge of setting these laws, and you need someone who has information about the law or is trained like in the law to figure out what these strict guidelines are. So number 2, water evaporates using high temperatures. High winds can also cause water to evaporate and can contribute to dryness. So the word you are defining for number 2 is contribute. And then remember, you're going to underline a couple words to show the context clues that help you get to that definition. Number 3, because blue whales consume tons of krill, they need to live in seas with abundant food. So you guys are going to find the definition for consume, and then you're going to underline either a word or phrase that help you come to that definition. This shouldn't be too hard. We have done like homework activities before where you guys need to find the definition of word based off the surrounding words using context clues. So then independent practice. Using the underlined context clues, write the meaning of the bold-faced word, then write a sentence using the word correctly. So this kind of gives you almost the definition of the bolded word. You still have to kind of use your brain to figure out how the underlined words relate to the bolded word. I personally think this section's a little easier. So I'll do number 1 for you guys, and you'll have to do number 2 on your own. So it says, because the dry land that is irrigated can accumulate too much salt, crops do not grow well. So accumulate is the bolded word. Too much salt and crops do not grow well. That is the context clue they underlined for you. So for accumulate, the definition I put was to build up or hold, because if it's holding something, you can only hold so much. The example sentence that I put is I don't want to accumulate any debt, because if you are accumulating debt, you're building it up and you have more to pay off. Number 2, the darkness was so intense that the ocean floor resembled the inside of a cave. So intense is the word you need to define, and resembled the inside of a cave is the word or the phrase used to help you define intense. I want you guys to do that one on your own, but again, if you have questions, you can email me, comment on this, message the Google Hangouts, whatever works best for you guys. That is all I have for you guys today. I will be uploading a video of me going over the grammar rules packet, the last 3, so 9, 10, and 11. So if you're stuck on any of those, I would check YouTube later. The video would definitely be uploaded probably by like 2, I'm assuming, unless YouTube decides to go nuts and not let me upload a video. If you guys have any questions about the grammar packet, still, I know I really haven't been going over those in like our live sessions, but if you have questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. And then we will finish the last 2 pages of the 6th grade packet on Friday during our live session. If you guys have any questions about anything at all, I would come to the live session on Friday because that's kind of our last one before spring break. So if you have any questions, I do still check my email like once a day. But if you have a like dire question, I won't be able to get to you because I'm out. I don't know what I'll be doing. Everything's closed. But anyway, I have had one person watch this video the whole time, so shout out to them. I don't know who you are. You won't identify yourself. But again, if you guys have any questions, let me know. No one's asked questions, and there's only one of you watching, so I'm going to go. But I will see you guys either Wednesday for the live session from 6 to 7, or I'll see you guys Friday again at 11 a.m. See you guys soon.